Hi, it's Michelle Neske, and today I'm going to share with you my top 5 apps that are the best for PA students on clinical rotations and even beyond. Some of these resources I still use every day in practice, and so they're really helpful to have now as well as for later in your career. So let's break them down. But before I do that, be sure to smash the subscribe button to be here every week while I drop all the tips you need to get into PA school, get through it with great resources, and move into your clinical practice confidently. Okay, so let's start. These are my top 5, and I have to start with number 1. And number 1, hands down, in my book is UpToDate. And most PAs that you ask, or any medical providers that you ask, are going to tell you that this is their go-to resource for pretty much every relevant, up-to-date medical topic you could possibly imagine. So sometimes it's hard to find exactly what you want because it is so robust in terms of its information. But once you get used to using it, it literally provides you with everything you need, from diagnostic approaches to treatment algorithms and everything in between. And so it really is a robust medical resource, but it also is, in fact, up to date. They're constantly updating this as evidence-based medicine shows us new data and as we change our treatment strategies for patients. So it's always updated and really just a good resource as a go-to in your pocket every single day. Highly recommend it. You can stay logged in for quick searches on your phone. The second one for me is going to be Epocrates. This was one of the first medical resource apps out there, and it was one of the first ones I used back in the day for PA school as well. The best thing about it is that it's comprehensive and it's free, which is amazing. So it can be slow to load because it really is a lot of data and information on your phone, but it shouldn't be an issue if you have a good Wi-Fi and you're in a setting that works well. Regardless, it's amazing in terms of pharmacopoeia. So if you're looking for pharmaceutical information, drug information, very helpful to break down all that information for you, plus all the added goodies in there. I believe there's even a calculator in there for, different equations that you might need throughout your rotation. So definitely a top 2 for me. Moving into number 3 is going to be kind of an interesting one that you may not have thought about and could be really helpful during your didactic phase, and that's Essential Anatomy 5. So a really good app if you're going into a surgical rotation or surgical subspecialties and want to get a better sense of what the anatomy is going to be like before you get into the operating room and are looking at all of these things. Now, yes, you were trained on anatomy in the classroom, but it's different when you're seeing it in person, and sometimes you need a little bit of a quick reference. And this is a really usable, intuitive interface that will allow you to do that. It can also help you isolate organ systems, which can be really helpful as well, depending if you're in a surgical subspecialty or not. So very well designed and very useful, not only in the didactic phase, but also in your clinical rotations. Number 4 for me is going to be the Sanford Answer Microbial Guide. When I was in PA school, it was this tiny little book that changed colors every time it was updated every year. Now it's in an app. And let me tell you something, no matter what specialty you're in clinical rotations or as a practicing PA, you are going to be dealing with infections. So it's important to know what antibiotics cover what organisms and to just have that information as a quick reference in your pocket at all times. And lastly, for me, MedCalc is a lifesaver because your girl is not good at math, but also it's free and can really help you quickly figure out somebody's corrected calcium or whether or not they have an anion gap or their Cockcroft-Gault, kidney function. So really great resource to have available to you. And again, free. Right? So those are my top 5 apps. If there are any apps that you really love in terms of clinical rotations, feel free to drop them in the comments. Again, I use some of these apps now, even in my current clinical practice, especially UpToDate and especially Epocrates. So hopefully this was helpful for you and you can go take a search and see which ones you're going to want for your next rotation.